PG, right? So anyway, he'll explain it all. He'll also discuss cloud computing, face recognition, artificial intelligence, all this, how they're going to impact our daily lives. So without wasting any more time, over to you, Taki.
Thank you, Shabir, for the introduction, and Nazmul for the opportunity to present to the Baraza group. I realize majority of the participants are seniors, so I will try and make it non-technical, but with real-life applications. Inshallah, in the next hour, we can all learn from each other. Let's, if I can share my screen. I think yeah. Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it now.
Yeah, so let's dive into the topic of our discussion, how smart technologies can contribute to our prosperity and well-being. In the past 12 months, we all have had to go through what I would like to call COVID ghaiba. We went into hiding in our homes. We could not meet our children nor our grandchildren. But in the process, we learned how to work remotely, study online, shop online, and meet online. We adopted these technologies for our safety and well-being. COVID accelerated the pace of technology by 5 years or more. So there is really no going back. This is the new reality. Digital technology is transforming the way we live, the way we are going to work and play. We just cannot afford to ignore it. We need to embrace it, use it to our benefit. In Sweden, they recently appointed a minister dedicated to digitization so that they can prosper in the new technical world. But on the other hand, in UAE, they have a minister for happiness. Look at the contrast. It looks like the Emiratis are still not happy despite their wealth and entertainment. In the years to come, technology and innovation will be a major contributor to the wealth and power of nations. We will look at some useful applications from health and fitness all the way to banking, finance, smart home, education, learning, and without forgetting our Sheikh Google, what he does and how he has helped us in our life. With health, okay, just 1 second, okay. Yeah, before I get into the application, let's just spend a few minutes looking at the two most popular operating systems. We have the Android and the iOS. iOS is the operating system of the iPhones, and the Android is the computation developed by Google, and it is usually, or not usually, most of the time, Samsung operates on the Android. And there are a few other manufacturers, including Huawei and a few others, but predominantly it is Samsung. Most of the functions are very much the same. It's very much a case of what you are used to, what iPhone, what phone that you started with, and what you got used to over the years. But basically, it's the same in terms of processing power, memory, and camera. But what we find is that new models tend to come every year, almost because of the greater processing power, memory, and camera. They need these additional power in order to accommodate the new apps that are being continuously developed. they demand a lot more. That is why sometimes if your phone is old, you find that it is very slow in loading. The pictures are not very clear. And usually I would say that every 3 years, it is worth upgrading your phone, whether it is Samsung or iPhone. 3 years is a good time to upgrade, and it is worth the investment. And in today's world, smartphones are almost 3.8 billion around the goal by the end of this year. We'll try and look at some applications, some useful application in terms of health and fitness, all the way to education and the Shake Google of the world. Let's begin with health monitor, something which is very important to us seniors. A smartwatch. In today's smartwatch, you can monitor your heart rate. You can monitor your oxygen, your ECG. It could even track your sleep at night. All these are, I won't say that they are 100% accurate, but they give you indication of where you are in terms of your health. For example, a heart rate will give you the number of your beats per second, and it is fairly accurate, as well as blood oxygen. That has been very useful, I think, in the COVID. Like, for example, you just took it, or your blood oxygen, and it shows something like 99%. That is optimal, that is good. But when you see it going down to 90 and below, this is when you start getting worried. Similarly with the heart rate. These are good monitoring tools. I want to emphasize, this is not a substitute from you not going to the doctor. They record on your application, they can graph it for you, and you can monitor it yourself. And quite often, I think it is worth it when you have this data to share it with your doctor. This is, at least in this way, you are in control of your health and you see what is happening within your body. And these are not expensive gadgets to buy. The second one that I have enjoyed and I found it really useful is the fitness tracker. It keeps a record of the number of steps for the day. As you know, we are being told that 10,000 steps is ideal and it's worth recording every day. It gives you the distance you have walked, the calories you have burnt. And the best part is I like the smart weighing scale. Usually early in the morning, you can step on it. You don't have to worry about noting the weight. Automatically, it goes and records on the app. And it starts graphing for you. And then you can start comparing between the previous day, the next day, and then it records and gives you the average weight during the week. So it tracks your progress. And another important feature which I have enjoyed is the movement reminders. If you keep staying or sitting at one place for a long time, and this is it happens quite often without realizing it, it kind of moves you, gives you a reminder that be careful not to be the couch potato. Or in Swahili, we say, anakuhangaisha, anakusimamisha kidogo, uende nje kutembea. So, and hopefully that this application will get further developed. If you have done well on that particular day, you have reached your 10,000 steps, you have done your weighing scale was good, your weight has been going down, maybe they will develop that, okay, you've done very well today, now sasa wewe unaweza kwa kwenda kakula gunpak na ladu kidogo usiku. Hopefully it will come to that very soon. Another useful application has been the COVID alert. This is the COVID alert. The app I am showing here is the Canadian government had developed it and we were asked to download it. What it does is that if you, for any reason in the supermarket or somewhere, you got near to anyone who tested positive, it will alert you. Alert you in the sense that it has Bluetooth in it, and that person who had been exposed will register on your phone, and then it will prompt you that you got somewhere you got very close to a person who was infected. This has been extensively used in Southeast Asia. And I remember when I was traveling in Asia sometime February of last year, the Singaporean government, the Malaysian, had already developed and the citizens were using it. And what it does is that even the Canadian, they advise you if there have been any COVID infections, if there had been outbreaks in a supermarket, where it is, it alerts you. So you can avoid those places. And of course, it gives you now the news and update on the vaccine rollout. So you know what age group they are currently vaccinating and when are the vaccination places. You can even book an appointment for vaccination. Usually, I mean, the senior, they do that over the phone, but it's really, when you go to the call center, it can take very long. They queue up for 1 hour. I would very much recommend to you the smartphone. And for those who don't have access to smartphone, I think the community should arrange to help those seniors so that they can book online. And the next development that is taking place amongst countries is the vaccine passport. Again, it is something that we may carry it on the phone and be able to travel and be expected to show at the airports when you show up that you have been vaccinated and you are free to travel. It is still controversial. We don't know where it will end, but it is getting close to that. Banking is also a very useful application. You can, with the application on your phone, you can do almost banking 24/7. You can do all the regular banking, pay your bills, do your e-transfer, deposit checks as well. You don't have to go to the bank any longer. Again, this was very much it existed before COVID, but became more prevalent because we all avoided going to the bank. So you can take the photography of your checks, deposit it, keep track of your transaction, and even do analysis of your spend. What has allowed is the face recognition, which I am showing here on the right-hand side. When you use your app to access your bank account, you have already authenticated yourself. So when you are, say, for example, reaching out the bank or a call center agent, they don't ask you all those security questions because you have already secured yourself. You are already into the app, you are already in your account, and you get connected to the operator very quickly. Whereas if you had not used the application and you call independent of the application directly into the call center, you can stay in the queue for a long time. This is something I just came across accidentally while using the app. So very useful in terms of banking. I could do almost everything on the mobile banking. I am not sure when or why I would need to go to the bank again. Finance is also another area which has been on the smartphones for a long time. The normal things that you normally check your stocks on the computer or elsewhere. You get live updates, you get exchange rates, you can buy and sell shares. You get alerts on the share prices. If it goes down, it goes up. It monitors your performance, keeps your watch list as well active. And it's a very easy to use application. And also what you have is a complete portfolio of your stocks on hand. Just word of caution, you're almost carrying your entire stock portfolio wherever you go. But be careful not to start looking at it again and again at night. You might lose your sleep. And at that time, the stock market is closed. Nothing is going to happen until the next morning. But it can possess you if you are not careful. Another application is navigation. You're all familiar, you have used it, is the Google Map and Waze of the world. It plans your trip. It gives you route options. In our case here in Canada, you have a 407 option. It gives you the option. It even gives you the cost of if you decide to take 407, whether it is few dollars, $10, and you look at the time difference, whether it is worth spending that $5, $10 because you are going to gain a few minutes. It gives you your normal trip duration, and it's very smart in being able to reroute you in the event that there is any traffic, if there is any traffic congestion on the road. In fact, I found it very useful once we were coming back from Niagara on the QEW, and as usual on a Saturday evening, it gets packed on the QEW. And before I know, I found ways rerouting me to bypass all the blockages, all the traffic jam. And incidentally, I saw that I was not the only one taking that detour, but there were a few other cars. And I realized quickly that they were all on ways using it. So I'm hoping that not too many people use, then everybody else will take those alternate routes. But it's a useful application. Door lock. This is another useful application. You have the ability, once you have programmed it with your lock at the door, it opens and locks the door as you enter the house. You don't need the key. As soon as the lock realizes that you, with your smartphone in your pocket, you reached your home, you reach your door, it opens the door for you. And it senses and opens the door. And you can even remotely talk to the person if you are inside or wherever you are. I had an interesting incident once, not long ago. I was out in the Colorado mountains outside the country, and nobody was at home, and somebody rang the bell. And here I was in the mountains, and I answered the person who was ringing the bell, and I talked to the person and convinced him that we were not interested, whatever he was selling at the door. And he was convinced that I was at home, but I was thousands of miles away. And you can even open the door. If you have somebody that you trust, for example, you have your cleaner or housemaid, you can open the door remotely when you're not there. And the best part is that it records all the traffic in and out of the door. So you know who entered what time or what time they left. And it is very much secured and password protected. Security cameras. That probably some of you have it already installed. It is a very useful application. It monitors your house, and the prices have gone down also. It's not what they used to be. It's very affordable. And depending upon the size of the house, you can put a few, 5 or 6 or even more, but it monitors your house 24/7. It has the motion detector, and it records again all the movements, and gives you access to the recordings, to what is happening outside your house, again on your app, wherever you are. In fact, not long ago, maybe only about a couple of months ago, we had a knock on our door, right in the, not exactly in the middle of night, about 10 o'clock. And there were police officers. And we opened the door, and he said, by the way, have you heard cries for help me, I am being attacked? So, in winter, we have all our doors and windows closed. We could not hear anything. So we said, no, we have not heard anything. But then it occurred to me, I said, by the way, let me check on my smartphone. I have an app for my security cameras. Let me check, perhaps maybe I can find something on that. And he gave me the time. Apparently, somebody must have called the police. He gave me the time, which was only half an hour before. And I went through my app, and I was able to find out exactly, I could find out exactly what had happened. It had recording of the person being attacked and screaming, please help me, help me. And the police were excited. They looked at the app, and before I knew, there were 4 police officers who came to our home. We shot the entire video, which was a clip of about 5-6 minutes. They watched it on our computer, they analyzed it, and they liked it in a sense that they reported back to the headquarters. And in fact, they downloaded the recording on a USB. They took it with them, and they gave us a link to upload it to the police headquarters. And before we knew, in about 10 minutes later, we had about 2 helicopters hovering around our house and in the vicinity, looking for the crime scene. So that was very useful in terms of our security and the neighborhood security. The police were very grateful with that. Um, in the COVID area, the shopping, as you know, had to be done from the comfort of your home. And I think it worked out very well. We were already using Amazon, it's a place where you can buy things very cheap. I would say it's more competitively priced, and it gives you many options to buy. And plus you have these customer reviews, so you'll not be buying it, but you will know exactly how people have reacted to it, what has been the reviews, and so on. It guides you to how well the product has done in the market. And if you have a Prime membership, you get free delivery almost on the same within 24 hours. Another interesting application that came about in the last 12 months is the Instacart, the same-day grocery delivery. It's been so convenient that you can order in the morning and you will have your entire supermarket shopping, all the food delivered to your doorstep without leaving your home. I mean, given the comfort and what we have seen happen in the last 12 months, I doubt very much how many people would want to go back to the supermarket. And of course, there will be some who really like to get into the supermarket and touch the fruits. Wanasema kwa Swahili wanapenda kugusagusa, kukamata na kutizama kama iko pochopocho au namna gani before they buy it. So for those people, I think they will still go to the supermarket. Yes.
Taki, Remtulla, salam alaikum.
Yes.
Sorry. So many of our participants don't understand Swahili, man?
Okay, haya bana.
Thank you.
Okay, but some of it very difficult to translate into English. But pocho pocho means when it is very soft and you keep touching it, and this is how we used to evaluate the freshness of the product in Africa. Another important application, again on your smartphones, is what it gives you almost to the windows to e-learning. And it's everything, from secular to religious. You name it, it's all available. And you can use it from the comfort of your home or from your app. You can learn a different language altogether. I'm showing here on the right-hand side all the religious application. I'm sure you may be using many of these, the normal Qibla finder, the namaz timer, the Quran and du'as, very handy in terms of leading your religious life. Another important is, again, YouTube can be a very important source of learning. I'm showing a few examples of, even if you, during this COVID period, or even normally you want to save money, you want to fix your own draining, there are YouTube videos that can show you, can teach you exactly how you can do it. Or you want to do gardening, there are YouTubes. Or you want to put your Google Nest Mini, you can follow on the YouTube and very clear instructions. The part that the application, the YouTube teaching that I liked, or we probably used it a lot again during COVID period, is the haircut. Because we could not go to our hairdresser, we found out that people started getting haircut at home. And I remember during the COVID peak, when we ordered our haircutting machine, Amazon had run out of it because everybody else had ordered and they were using it. And it was through YouTube that I think our wives learned how to do the haircut, and they have done a good job. At least I cannot argue against that. They've done an excellent job, though I have been losing my hair, but I don't know if I will go back to the hairdressers when the time comes. I think I want to save money and time, and I will continue using what I've got used to. The interesting part is the Sheikh Google. It needs no introduction. This gives you your information at your fingertip. You can search it on the go. I found it very useful when I travel, or basically, You could be in any part of the world. With Share Google, it gives you the information around any kind of information you want around you, whether it is restaurant, mosque, halal restaurants, you want to get local news, it is all available. You just can find about anything with Check Google. Of course, you have to take it with a grain of salt. There are something, advertisement that get pushed around you, towards you, but it's something that you need to discern it. But it's very useful tool. Google Home is something that came about maybe a couple of years ago. It has had very good application. It's like your smart, it's an assistant at home. It's a smart home assistant. It's voice activated control. I mean, from the comfort of your desk, table, chair, or bed, wherever you are, you can give your different voice command, and it will give you the news, what the weather is, and it is a kind of interactive question and answer. And Google Home will go out in the cloud and find you the answer instantly, much more faster sometimes than even if you were to start typing and finding the information on Share Google. It's the same one, but this is a smart device that can sit anywhere. It can play your Quran, your duas. And I find it very interesting because if you can network it with your switches at home, like before going to bed, I don't have to wake up and switch off the light. I just go and say, hi Google, can you switch off the light? Or can you set me alarm at so and so in the morning? And it turns off your light. And also it can even read your surah. And I know my grandkids, they like to play this Asmaul Husna, 99 names of Allah, and he does it for you. But you need to be careful. The default voice prompt is a female voice, and a charming one. If you keep talking a lot and your wife is sitting next door to you, especially at night before going to bed, and you find you are chatting a lot with that, you'll be asked to leave the bedroom with your Google Home. So don't get overexcited chatting with him. Let's look now in the next 10, 15 minutes before my time is up on the emerging technologies. There are a number of emerging technologies. I chose to look at the 3 major technologies that will have an impact on our lives in the next 5 years to come or longer. One is the 5G mobile. You probably have heard it. In fact, the handset, the Apple and the Samsungs have already rolled out the 5G compatible. But the network coverage is very much limited right now, only to certain pockets within the cities. So it's full, you could say, strength, and application has yet to be rolled out. But what it is that it's a 5th generation of wireless technology. Currently, we are what we call on 4G LTE network. This is your existing. But just to give you an indication as to how different, how faster it is, it's going to be 10 times faster, and eventually they'll keep building on it up to 100 times. Much, much faster than what we have currently experienced. You can imagine, or you can compare it, if you were to download a 2-hour movie currently on your 4G network, it will take you about 7 minutes. But on 5G, it will take you 10 seconds only. So you can imagine the speed at which the download speed, much faster than even what you are currently getting on your home network, on your Wi-Fi. It will have higher bandwidth, it will be more reliable, and low latency means when you are on a site and you are downloading something, it will come through very quickly. The time it takes to go and come back is very, very short, in milliseconds. That's what we mean by low latency. And because of that, low latency, higher bandwidth, more reliable, we will be able to collect real-time data, in the sense that if you have a lot of sensor in, for example, factories or in the vehicles, then you'll be almost collecting data in real time. There won't be any lag. And this will allow in the process to make better decisions in terms of what should happen, given that this is what has happened. Say, for example, in the car, it's already collected all the information, and there is a car going, behind you or overtaking you. There's a car in front of you. It has all the real-time data to be able for the machine, for the car to brake or take corrective action. Similarly, with the factories, with that kind of bandwidth and reliable network, you'll be able to get into full automation. One thing, before I go into the details, and in fact, I can do it later on at the end of the presentation, but I want to emphasize that there is, it has become a geopolitics issue now. Every advanced country is racing towards 5G. The Europeans, Americans, and Chinese have done a better job than the Western countries. And they are trying to sanction Huawei, who is the 5G technology company, by using the excuse that the Western countries, the governments, that there is a security threat to deploying Chinese equipment in the network. They're not saying that the current 4G network, the current mobile, it's filled with the Chinese components, with the Chinese processor, with the Chinese radios. They are using on 4G. But 5G will determine the strength of the nation, the industrialization, and the prosperity. And they want to inhibit, I would call the Chinese rise, to be able to compete against the hegemony of the Western countries. Artificial intelligence, you may have heard about it, come across many times. Maybe I could compare it with what happened in the Industrial Revolution. What happened is this: about 300 years ago, during the Industrial Revolution, the physical labor was replaced with machines. A good example, when I was growing up in Zanzibar 50 years ago, the washing machine. We had somebody at home to help with the washing of the clothes. Now, it is no longer somebody washing, but a machine washes for you. So physical labor was replaced by machine. Now, in the 21st century, the machines would be able to replicate the work of our minds, things, the computing work, the thinking that we do. The artificial intelligence will be able to do that. So what we are doing, in effect, through machine learning, we are teaching computers how to think and solve problems. And these computers, because they can process huge amounts of data at a speed that our minds cannot do it, they can easily, for example, recognize patterns and predict the future. And through machine learning and neural networks and deep learning. For example, I'll just give you a few applications of artificial intelligence, AI. When you shop online on Amazon, you'll be amazed once you start looking at the product and you go off to another site, and before you know, that product that you were examining starts appearing, start popping up where you are in your browsing, or what you could be else doing it, because Amazon has invested millions of dollars on AI, and they are in return reaping huge benefits, because they are conditioning you to buy those products, and you start seeing it, you're getting convinced, and it drives their sales. Another simple example is today's word processing. You don't have to worry about spelling. It corrects your spelling, your grammar even, and sentence structure. They're doing a phenomenal job. Another important application I found is the fraud detection with credit card. Normally when I travel, and I make a conscious effort, for example, I'm going to countries in Africa or in Asia, I make a point of calling my credit card and telling them that during this period, I'll be in these parts of the world. Because what it does is that the credit card, when they see your credit card being used, for example, in Japan, or in China, or in Tanzania, and they know that you reside in Canada, they know your spending patterns, they know where you shop, they know how much you spend. All of a sudden, your credit card pops up in another country buying something that you have never bought before, it starts alerting you. And if he finds that he's not convinced that it is you, it will disable your credit card, and it can be a nightmare if you are traveling. So make a point of calling your credit card and warning them so that there isn't any alerts coming in your way. So AI is everywhere without us realizing all the underlying layers of technology of system. There's an AI that is continuously monitoring it, improving the performance, and to some extent reducing the time that you need to perform a task. Cloud computing is another very prevalent, I'm sure you've all come across. It's basically, we think of cloud, computing in the cloud, but usually it is not in the cloud. But the fact that they're all radiating, or they're all connecting back to that central hub where the computer resourcing resides, we tend to call it cloud computing. But in the old world, you can think of telephone exchange. Where all these, if you remember, the old telephone wires used to converge, and then from there, the processing, your connection used to take place. So now these telephone houses are being replaced or by data centers. And it is in these data centers where the computing power, your intelligence, your memory reside. So very likely, even for something like your Office 365, your email, they all go into these data centers. And I will show you where these data centers are located for processing for many applications. Cloud storage, you have come across the Dropbox, the Google Drive. I found it very useful to store your documents, your photo, video. It is a fairly secured, and it enables you to access your documents, your photo, wherever you are. You don't have to be close to your computer. You don't have to be in front of your computer to see it. And especially for senior like us, we call it senior moment. We forget something. Oh, what was my driving license number? Or, oh, I forgot this. You from your smartphone, you access your Dropbox or your box, your cloud storage, and you can access it and find the information. It's very easy to recover and use it. In fact, I read not long ago, somebody, a Canadian, who was crossing the border from US to Canada. He had forgotten his passport. But he had the image of his passport on his iPad. He showed to the Canadian Immigration Office, I'm a Canadian, here is a copy of my passport on his iPad. And they obviously checked it on the system. They found, yeah, it is true. But they said, okay, you can come back, but don't do it again. So that is useful to have all your documents in one place. The global data center I had mentioned. So these global centers have been built by these major service providers, the Facebooks of the world, the Google, the Amazon, the IBM. So these data centers have been built all around the world, particularly in North America. I'm not showing everything. It would have been very crowded. In Europe, in North America, you see a lot of that, and in China, Southeast Asia. And of course, some have started appearing in the Middle East. These are the data centers that we talked about, where the intelligence of the application, the memory, where you get your request processed without you realizing whether you are being served in one data center or another, and they're all linked together. How are they linked together? I will show it to you. This is where the communication links come in. You have the submarine cables. These are cables that carry terabytes of information. They are installed under the seabed, and they run between continents. And they carry huge traffics between the continents, between the countries. You have, for example, a submarine cable running the whole of Africa. You have between North America and Europe. That is the backbone of the communication, how those data centers are connected. You have the fiber optics. Again, they carry huge amounts of information, of data between data centers, and fiber optics are usually laid underground, and it is on the terrestrial, on the land, whereas the submarine is under the sea. And then you have the satellite communication for location that is very difficult to reach. For example, it could be in the deserts, it could be right in the deep sea. They use satellite communication to stay in communication, to be able to do very much like what you do with your smartphone, with your computers. It is the most important is the connectivity, just like you said, the Wi-Fi, your internet connection, wherever you might be. And microwave link, we use it again to areas which is rugged, mountainous, very hard to reach, or very expensive to lay the fiber, to lay the cable in the ground. You use the microwave links between locations. So these are the 4 different mediums where the whole global network is put together. Here I am showing a global submarine cable route, which connects from, for example, on the left, from Asia all the way to the Pacific Ocean, all those fibers running between North America and Asia, and then from North America to Europe, and then down to South America, around Africa, and then all the way going into Asia. This is the spider network that is chugging along. And I once was invited to AT&T global control room, and they had this on display, the entire global network, and they were monitoring in terms of any threats to the infrastructure, cyber attack. They were like, very much alert, and they were very much aware where the cyber attacks was taking place and when it will reach Canada or North America, and putting securities in place. A very sophisticated control center that they were continuously on the watch as to what is going on around the world. I think I will leave it to that, and I am open to questions and comments. Mohammed. Shabir, it's all yours.
Okay. There were some questions posted on the chat. I mean, before everybody sort of raises their hands, I'll just, Taki, I'll give you the questions, and then maybe we can have some brief answers. So I'll go in sequence. It says, how much private information is transmitted to app developers, and how to limit the access?
I think you get a choice when they ask you on the app that, there was this error that had taken place, whether you want to send it or not. Generally, I choose not to send because I am never sure how that information will be used. I would rather err on the caution side.
Okay. All right, next one. Doesn't downloading these apps require more space, etc., leading to more monthly charges?
Nowadays, I think I can again speak for Canada, the Rogers, the Bell, and the TELUS of the world. You can subscribe to unlimited data. They maybe throttle you at certain stage, but it's no longer an issue. But if you want to download anything, download on your Wi-Fi. You have unlimited internet bandwidth usage. So avoid downloading when you are in the cellular network, which costs money sometimes when you go beyond your budget, beyond your plan. Do it in your home, in the security of your home, and that's not going to cost you.
Thank you. Next one. With all these apps downloaded, what is the risk of our phone if our phone is stolen?
In the sense that if it is, there are applications available where, not application services, that as soon as you think you have lost it, but it has been stolen, you can wipe off everything in that phone. And I remember I was in Thailand last year only, and one of our family members had lost their phone. And I was able to track exactly where their phone was dropped and who had picked it up. And the person, after picking it up, he switched it off, but I was able to wipe off every bit of data in that phone. So there are mechanisms of wiping it off.
Okay, good one. Next one. Does fitness tracker require carrying the phone on you all the time?
No. Once you have your the fitness tracker, the band that you wear around your waist, your waist, or then through Wi-Fi as well as Bluetooth, it transmits the data onto your application. And for example, I showed you the case of the weighing scale. My weighing scale is in the bathroom, but my phone could be lying in the bedroom, in the office, anywhere, but it downloads and it updates the data on my application. So yeah, it does it.
All right. I guess this one is very, it depends on how people look at it. How secure is mobile banking?
I think I wish, I don't know who else is in on the audience, but what is the name of the guy who is the VP in TD?
Rizwan
Nazmul,
Khalfan.
Rizwan.
who is it? Rizwan Khalfan. He is in fact VP in charge of digitization of introducing these apps and many others. They will convince you. And if he is around, I'll be very happy if he can comment, but they are fairly secured. Otherwise, they will not be in business. And you know, banks are very, very conservative. They will not take risks. I would feel more comfortable with the banking application than any other application.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right. When buying the upgraded phone and, when you transfer all the data from old to the new phone, how does one go about clearing the old phone before donating it?
Again, you just wipe it off altogether.
Okay. So just do a factory reset, I guess.
Yes, exactly.
Right. All right. This is just something that somebody has heard, that 5G transmitting towers are harmful to health, especially to people living around the area. I don't know if you can shed some light on that.
This has been going on. I mean, this argument, even there is quite a bit of Sheikh Google has it on the 5G and so on. It is yet to be proved. It is early, but I think there are labs as well as authorities continuously studying, just like your vaccine. Oops, sorry, it's my alarm. My time is up, 40 minutes. Yeah. There are available authorities who are looking into that. And I think if there is any risk, they'll be pointing it out. Not that I'm saying because I'm a technologist, but there are checks and balances within the authorities.
Shabir, Shaukat Rizvi has his hand up, if you don't mind, please.
Sure.
Shaukat Saab. You can unmute yourself, Shaukat Saab.
Shaukat Saab, unmute करें. Please unmute.
Yeah, he's muted. Shaukat Bhai, if you can unmute, we'll go to the next question while he's unmuting. Okay, Shabir.
Okay. All right. So let me see. I don't know if I didn't cover this question. Okay, yeah. What are the fraud implications in case your phone is stolen or hacked?
No, I didn't understand. What is the fraud implication?
I guess, what I say, if your phone is stolen or hacked, can somebody access your financial institution? I guess that's probably, your identity, your financial institution, or your emails, or, that kind of stuff.
I mean, if your phone gets hacked, or just like, a smartphone is like a computer in your pocket. For any reason, if it gets hacked and you are not careful, then they'll have a field day in accessing every bit of information lying on your phone or wherever it may be.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I can, Shaukat, just a minute. Let me, on this question, Taki.
Yes.
Here's the issue as I see it. You are in the technology field. You are an expert. You know how to wipe out the data in a stolen phone, okay? But most of the crowd, we're not, at your level of understanding technology. How do we, the lay people, go about, securing our data? Or
I think I would say that there are some basic good habits in terms of where you, what kind of password you use, how many password you use for your applications, where do you store,
You want to
how
talk about password manager?
password manager, exactly,
Yeah,
management
let's
of your
mention quickly
password.
what it is.
And then also when you get, for example, I'm sure you guys have come across, I got a few days ago only a text message saying that, you know, Rogers has got $40 credit for you. Just double click this link. Hey man, you're not going to get me for $40. Why would Rogers give me? Or they will send something from CRA that for your account, or there is a payment to be made, click this. You don't click anywhere. CRA will not be sending you, or your bank will not be asking you information about your login ID or anything of that sort. Anything that sounds, looks suspicious, just ignore it. I mean, we get scam calls all the time. You just don't waste time on them. So it's basically simple habits in terms of being suspicious before clicking, before answering, before sending the information. And you have the LastPass and others that are fairly secured.
I think the bottom line is basically educate yourself, right? Learn, because technology is here to stay with us. Our lives will be run by technology. And the sooner you start learning about informing yourself about technology and the applications and security and all that, the better. Shaukat Sahib, if you're ready.
Yes, firstly for the housekeeping, sometime only the host can unmute. That's a matter of setting, so you can't unmute it sometime. Anyway, Mr. Taki, I must say, I must compliment you. It's a very good presentation from the senior's point of view, the way you have explained. Very simple, logical, and very useful. Thank you. Maybe you like to talk a bit about the impact of AI on the medical, because the future in the medical diagnostic and the treatment is going to be totally changed based on the AI. And that's going to impact especially most of the seniors. So if you can just say a few words about that, it'll be, at least they know what's coming in.
I haven't, I have not focused on the medical area, but I welcome if is there anybody in the audience, because I know a lot of scanning. What it does, Shaukat, is we are at a point where this AI is assisting the radiologist in terms of analyzing the scans, interpreting it, but it's not at the point where it takes over, but it assists, it augments the human intelligence. And some of the things, the speed at which they can see those patterns, they can see the discrepancies is alarming in terms of what it can do. It's still growing, the application is being developed, and I agree with you, a great deal of application in the months and years to come. But I welcome if there is any doctor who has used it to add to that.
What I learned, I'm not the expert on that. You see, when you go to a doctor, his diagnosis depends on his experience of 30, 40 years, the number of patients he has seen. Based on that, he makes a judgment. In the AI, where if data are more than thousands or millions of patients of a similar situation, when they compare with that, they also diagnose it. And that is pretty much about 90% correct, you're right. But what I'm saying, the most probably we don't have to go to our GP in future. We can have these information, our vitals thing connected to his screen, and he can check it, he can decide something for a very basic thing. That's what I mean. It's going to give us more ease. So that's what I thought.
No, definitely. It's part of this earlier application I showed in terms of your Fitbit, in terms of your health. You can monitor your vitals, but at the same time, I won't say that this is 100% accurate. They give you indication. They give you the indication, for example, ECG. It gives you a pattern of your heart, but it's not sufficient for you to say that I am comfortable, everything looks fine. For example, simple thing like your, it can measure the blood oxygen, in the oxygen in your blood, it showed me 99%, fairly accurate. But if it comes down to 90%, 80, I should start getting alarmed. And this is when I need to go and see the doctor. But I don't think we have apps available that now I can feel that I'm confident enough to be able to diagnose what is going on in myself. I don't think we are at that stage yet.
Right. But we're heading to it.
Okay, we'll have to move on, please. I think we have a doctor in the audience, Mr. Dalla, Dr. Dalla, I should say.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I think this is an amazing talk, Taki. Thank you very much. I'll be very brief, just to tell you from working as a physician and how the reliance on electronic health records and AI has impacted how we've practiced in the last 12 months. And like we say, adversity brings opportunity. There's an increased reliance on what we call virtual visits. Fortunately, unfortunately, the investment of e-health in Ontario in particular is a bit slow compared to other jurisdictions, in that the investment from e-health has been more in silos and there is a lack of integration. In any event, recognizing that I have found that in my practice, the Ministry of Health has promoted a lot of these virtual platforms, have recognized it, and we are also finding ourselves training our patients to be reliant on, say, self-management, blood pressure management or weight management, so on and so forth. And then there are tools which allows you to access your own chart and add that information from home. So by the time the virtual appointment is happening, all of those things that would take hours and minutes to populate your chart is already done. And now the clinician is sitting and just focusing on the diagnosis in a very rapid way, making referrals in a rapid way. So many of us have heard and have come to the conclusion that even if COVID were to stop tomorrow, part of how we have transformed in our interaction is going to stay. Therefore, I think that you are right. What would have taken 5 years to achieve is now being achieved right now out of sheer necessity. So I think there'll be a lot of exciting changes up ahead, and it's up to the users to find the comfort zone.
I think that's excellent comment. Thanks for your feedback, Dr. Dalla. Taki, there are so many questions on, I think you covered the subject very well in a, so many different areas. But I see from the chat that there are some questions which are at a more basic level. Password management, what is all that, right? Yeah. And we don't need to answer all that now. We'll have to arrange another session. There was some more about security. My phone, there is not enough memory, and all those kinds of things, which I thought were kind of a little, I shouldn't say basic, but at a different level. And I think we'll have to organize another session to go through those. Unless Taki, maybe comment on that, as well as on the security. You touched on, don't click on these, the messages, or someone wants to send you money and all that kind of stuff. But is there any apps or anything that you can install which will stop this from coming through? Or is this up to, how do you stop it coming onto your phone?
Okay, let me, we are quite rightly concerned about security. And here we are talking about maybe our personal computer or our smartphone. Just to give you an example, in our business world, in our tech business world, we use Microsoft application, Office 365. And this application resides in those data centers I showed you. And they are well protected, well guarded, and you have all kinds of imaginable protection in those data centers, and yet hackers manage to get into the Microsoft. So what chance do you stand as a one single user? And let me tell you that a hacker doesn't have much time for you and me. You are individual. We don't have a lot of money. They cannot cause a lot of disruption. They are after the big fish and they go after them. And that is where the cyber war is taking place between, I don't want to name countries, but there is a lot going on in that world. And I think I touched on it during my visit to AT&T, their NOC, their Network Management Control Center, and how that cyber war is taking place at that level. So I am, I think if I follow the good practices of protecting the application I use, where I click, where I go and collect my information, good habits, that is, I would say, should cover 95% of your security.
Excellent. I think security and the if you lose your phone, you talked about that. Viruses, you talked about that. I don't think we missed out any. Two-phase authentication is the best way to protect yourself from hacking. This is the banks and so many financial institutions and others ask for that. So that is good. I hope people understand or know what two-factor authentication is. Taki, you want to cover that while I go through the chat, please?
Yeah, basically two-stage means, for example, a good example with the banking application. If you are accessing it, for example, you are transferring money or you are doing something to your bank, and then for it to confirm, it will send you a text message asking you to put the code into that application to make sure that that code that was sent to you has reached your phone and it is your phone. So this way you are being authenticated that nobody else other than you, because you are holding your phone in your own hand. It could not have gone anywhere else. So that way it is protected. It's not somebody in China, anywhere else hacking into your account.
Great. While I'm still going through chat, can you talk about password manager, please? Thank you.
Yeah, password manager, there are quite a few. LastPass is a more popular one. And in fact, it doesn't, I would very much recommend that if you don't have one, to get it. And now they have even a good family plan. It doesn't cost a lot. For a small monthly subscription, I can't remember, by $2, $3, you can have all your devices and all your family devices protected under this LastPass, which basically keeps, it can generate passes for you, very, very difficult to, I would say, I mean, not for the hackers, but very complicated passes, not one of those 786110. I think, to be careful. Everybody else knows about it. And especially if a hacker or somebody wants to create trouble for you, you are a Muslim, you'll be using 786110. Those are more difficult passwords that they generate and they keep it for you. And then when you go to those websites, the password manager automatically puts it for you. So you may not even have to know it.
So Taki, explain to me, sort of go back a step and explain sort of why do you need a password manager? That is the point.
Yeah, because for you to be able to keep track of those different passwords, because, very often if you don't do it yourself, you will try and use the same password all across. This one generates a different password. Say if you get hacked because somebody found out your password, it's not going to compromise all the other sites you are visiting. It will be for that one particular site. The password manager would have a new password, a different password for every data that you access.
So basically, you only remember one password to get into that app, and then the password manager will keep track, and it will generate really complicated passwords for each of your banks, financial institutions, your doctor's records, whatever else you want to save a password for. Is that basically how it works?
That's correct. And what you have is that one password you are referring to is the vault, the Tiljori in Gujarati. This is where you have your own password to get into the Tirjori, to get into the vault, and then the vault, which is your password manager, generates the password for you. So you have one password to remember, and then if you forget for any reason you need it to use elsewhere, you can go into your vault and look for that particular site, for the particular account, for the particular bank, what password it uses. There is a toggle, you can toggle it, and then it will show you what was the password used. And then you can toggle back and it will disappear.
Great. Okay. Wonderful. So basically, if you go to Google and type in how does a password manager work, or password manager, or whatever, you get all the basic information, and then it will give you options. There's so many different providers, and you go from there. So Taki, basically it's 3:15. I think we'll bring this to a close. We would like to bring you back to do a little bit of a different presentation, to go through, some of these basic security measures. Today, you covered a lot of ground, basically, to explain at a higher level, different level, as to what is involved. And that was very, very useful. But I get the impression that, we need something which is sort of the day-to-day use, how to secure our data, how often we update our phones. You said about 3 years or so, and all those kinds of things. So I think we'll have to set something up probably for the fall.
Yeah, I think so. That would be useful, and it's good, Nazmul, you are well connected with the senior group. If we can poll amongst them and see what are the anxieties, what are the issues, and we can definitely address, and we can all benefit out of it.
Wonderful. Okay, I think with that, I have to thank you, Taki, for a most enjoyable, informative session. Good questions from the crowd, and you obviously addressed everything very well. So thank you again for making the time for us. I know you're busy, but at least you are in town. You're not traveling these days. But even if you're in Thailand or wherever, we would have got you on Zoom. See, there you go.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, we are still in our, what I said in the beginning, in our ghaiba. So
yeah, you're right.
Let's keep it up. It's still not safe yet. Let's get our vaccine first.
All right. Okay.
Right.
For next week, we have another session next Sunday, same time, 2:00. We are getting a pharmacist, and he will tell us all about managing our medications, what's happening in the pharmaceutical world, and all exciting stuff. Most of us senior audience will be on 1, 2, or more pills per day. So anyway, the notice will go out hopefully tonight or tomorrow, and please join us. Thank you. Have a wonderful afternoon. Enjoy the sun if you're in Toronto. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Damji.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye.